Hi everyone, welcome back to Novel Nomad and welcome to my Victober TBR for 2019. Now, if you're new to BookTube or haven't heard of Victober before, it is a magical time of year where during the month of October you get to read amazing Victorian literature. Now, Victorian literature is literature that was published or written from 1837 to 1901 during the reign of Queen Victoria, and the author originated from Ireland, Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and England. Now, I am so excited for this every year. I've read some absolutely amazing books and some that have become like a solid favorite of mine, and I've met so many amazing people doing Victober. So the hosts of Victober are Katie from Books and Things, Kate from Kate Howe, Lucy from Lucy the Reader, and Ange from Beyond the Pages. I'll link all of their announcement videos down below. They do have some recommendations in those videos, so definitely check them out. But we'll get straight into the challenges because I am reading to the challenges this year. I always love a good challenge. It just gives a bit of an edge to your reading. So the first challenge is Ange's challenge, and that is to read a female Victorian author and a bonus point if you've never read from that author before. And I was looking through my books and I came across this one, and I'm quite surprised I haven't read it, and that is Black Beauty by Anna Sewell. I think it's Sewell. But Black Beauty was published in 1878, and Anna herself was an invalid. She damaged her feet when she was younger, so she had to be carted around by horse a lot, and she was advocating for the humane treatment of animals in this book. And so I just love this edition. It is a Penguin Threads edition. I love the level of detail they put into these books. But Black Beauty is a book that I haven't had much exposure to, and I was quite surprised when it was a Victorian novel because I thought it was a little bit later, like maybe Edwardian or just before First World War. But no, 1878, so I'm quite excited to get into this one. Now, Kate Howe's challenge is to reread a Victorian novel, and I will be rereading The Mayor of Casterbridge by Thomas Hardy. Recently, I've been on a bit of a Hardy kick with some very lovely people I've been buddy reading Hardy's novels with. But Mayor of Casterbridge is one that I read for uni, and we're talking about 8 years ago. So I want to reread this in light of Hardy's other works that I have read recently, because I remember loving this book. I was probably one of the few people that loved this book, but I really thoroughly enjoyed Hardy's writing style and his depiction of character, and also setting the characters within the rural setting of Wessex. So I really want to reread The Mayor of Casterbridge, and just to cement my love of Hardy further. The next challenge is from Katie from Books and Things, and that is to read a Victorian novel that is under 250 pages or over 500 pages. Now, this was a bit of a dilemma because I have two options for this, so I'm going to both put them on my TBR, but I'm probably only going to be able to get around to one. We'll see how we go. If I'm highly enthusiastic, as I already am going into this reading month, I may get to both. So under 250 pages is going to be Agnes Gray by Anne Bronte. Now, this one is actually very cheeky because I know it can be over 250 pages in other editions, but this tiny itty bitty little edition only gets it to 230 pages. And I read Anne Bronte's Tenant of Wildfire Hall, and it's probably one of my favourite Victorian novels. So I really, really wanted to read Agnes Gray, and it's taken me forever to find an edition that I liked, and I really adore this little edition. I think it's very well presented, and also it fits very nicely into that challenge category. The other option technically is going to be a Dickens. I really want to get through Dickens' catalogue of work since he is quite prolific. So I want to get to one of his chunky reads. I have two options at the moment, and that is either going to be Our Mutual Friend, which is one of his last novels. Actually, I think it is his last finished novel, and it's about death and the cycle of life around in London and the city itself, in the Thames. And the other option is Little Dorrit. This is set quite early. I think he's taking reference from his younger years. It's set in 1820s, I believe, and it's surrounding a child that grows up in a debtor's prison because the father, who was once wealthy, is taken to the debtor's prison, where he becomes a quite eccentric character. But of course there's lots of other stories and different plots going on in this one. So if you've read either of these, let me know down below, because I'm trying to make up my mind which one I want to read more. I have seen the BBC adaptation for Little Dorrit, so I feel like I want to go into it because of that, that familiarity. But I know Katie from Books and Things loves Our Mutual Friend, so that's always been on my to read shelf for quite a while. So decisions, but if you love one of these books more than the other, let me know, because that might help me decide. Okay, so Lucy's challenge was a bit of a tricky one, and it was to read an underrated classic, to read an underrated novel published in the same year as your favourite Victorian novel. Right, so I had to decide first what my favourite Victorian novel was. So to be fair, number one probably just scrapes in as The Tenant of Wildfell Hall. This one has left quite an impact on me, and I think the legacy of this book should be lauded more, because it was so amazing for its time. So this was published in 1847. And unfortunately it was published at the same time as a few other books, but I wasn't really interested in any of them, so I thought I'd move on to my second favourite Victorian novel and see what that year had to hold. So my second favourite Victorian novel is going to be this chunker, Bleak House by Charles Dickens. I thought this was such a superbly crafted novel. It was so well done, the characters were so well wrought. And it was published in 1853. It was serialized before that in 1852, but it wasn't published as a full volume until 1853. But that year was quite prolific for Victorian novels, so I had a plethora of choice to choose from. Now, I can't decide between the two books that I've narrowed it down to, but I think I'm definitely going to go for Charlotte Bronte's Villette. This is probably not underrated, but I think it's overshadowed by Jane Eyre, as Wuthering Heights overshadows much of other Emily Bronte's poetry. But I thought this would be an absolutely wonderful one to read, because it's been on my shelf for a little while and I've just really have never gotten it around to reading it, so this is a perfect opportunity. The other option for that year was Ruth by Elizabeth Gaskell. I have it in this absolutely beautiful Folio Society edition. It did come in a set, although I got it at a secondhand store and Ruth was the only copy there. So there is Ruth as well. I think I'm going to go more for Villette than Ruth, but this is also, if I run out of Victorian things to read during this month, which is highly unlikely, but if I do, Ruth is always going to be there as a runner-up, just in case I need to fill my Victorian reading time. Alright, so this is what I'm thinking of reading for Victober. I would love to know if you are participating. Please tell me if you've done a video or a TBR. I've been trying to watch all of them recently. They're just getting me so excited. It's just so wonderful to engage within the Victober community. If you are taking part but you don't have a TBR video, let me know down below what you are planning to read. And there is one final challenge that I hope to get around to, and that is reading by candlelight. But we shall see, because unfortunately the nights are getting lighter, so I might have to stay up a little bit later to get the full effect of reading by candlelight. But otherwise, it's going to be an absolutely amazing month, and I am so ready for it to start. I think it's only a week away now. I'm so excited. So I love to share the excitement. Let me know down below what book I should read of Dickens. Is it going to be Little Dorrit, or is it going to be Our Mutual Friend? And I'll see you all next time. Happy reading. Bye.